Hey, my chama culture. We're here, just this morning, Chip saying I think it's school hours. Got, a school down here, so I just thought, let me just grab a beverage out here and sit with my chama culture, I was watching Chip saying, wherever you are, in the world, just talk about something, right? Which is a content I wanted to make, which was to do is talk to you about what's the real business of Apple, Starbucks, Tesla, and how does the pestle analysis model apply to these businesses, and what does the pestle analysis model talk about, I'm saying, what it stands for, I'm saying. So I just thought it'd just be a great time to make some content just to share with my larger collective, which is for, the podcast, Bound Boy Podcast 7. And I thought I'd just do it down here this morning, because why not, I'm saying, why not, I'm saying, hey, so let's get it. Look, listen, I think with me, the reason why I wanted to start a podcast channel is because I just want to be able to get personal with my charmer coach, man, regardless of where you are. I'm saying, I mean, look, listen, the world is the world is massive, you know what I'm saying? I mean, especially this is what I tell people I speak to on a daily basis, right? Look, listen, people are so accustomed and, create an identity based upon the town or, the area, postcode, right? Or where they are from, you know what I'm saying? Example, I'm in this town, right? And people, any town you're at, or, you identify with the town where you're from, you know what I'm saying? But, take yourself out on a flight, and, you might have, gone on holiday to, I don't know, Spain, France, or parts of Europe, parts of Africa, parts of Asia, parts of, South America or Central America or North America, wherever the continent is, you know what I'm saying? Over in Australia, wherever, you know what I'm saying? And you take yourself out and you go to another community, and, halfway across the world, or just away from your town, and you kind of realize that the world is a massive space that people don't really acknowledge. So I'm saying, I think people are for me, what I feel like, people are just identifying based upon what the town is, and this is who I am, and this is my identity, when the world is a huge place. The same way, if I have to put this into perspective, my trauma culture, right, just to understand something, right, is that sometimes people come up to me and chat to me, and I'm like, hey, let's have a chat, you know what I'm saying? And they say, hey man, look, listen, that person really made me upset, that person really made me mad, I'm losing the plot, you know what I'm saying? I'm getting crazy out here, man. That person was rude, blah blah blah, ho ho ho, you know what I'm saying? Hey, let me just tell you something, right? And I put this into perspective because sometimes you've got to allow people to have a perspective, because sometimes people they have this mind fog about, understanding something, right? So when someone tells me I'm upset, I'm angry about this thing that happened, this drama, this conflict that has happened, right? How can I, how can I make it easier for me to go through life where I'm not getting upset anymore? And I told him, look, listen, hey man, you literally, gonna wake up daily, and there's gonna be about 10 people you're gonna bump into, especially if you're in the professional world, right? You could be a salesman, trying to make calls, trying to sell something, and they don't want to buy it, you know what I'm saying? And there could be daily about 10 people, let's say 10 people a week that's gonna piss you off, you know what I'm saying? Times up by 4 weeks, right? 10 people is gonna piss you off daily, right? Or weekly, right? Times about 4 weeks, that's about 40 people, right? So in a month, technically 40 people piss you off, you know what I'm saying? Now, times up by 12 months, right? How much is that? 40 times 10 is 400. Then you got 440, about 480, about 500 people that's gonna piss you off yearly, right? That's 500 people that's gonna piss you off yearly. Times up by 10 years, that's 5,000 people, right? That's gonna piss you off. And times up by about another 5 years, a decade is 5,000, so that's about 5 times 5,000 people that's gonna piss you off. It times up by 5 decades, right? That's about 25,000 people that's gonna piss you off. Out of how many people? 8 billion people, do you know what I'm saying? When you look at the quantity of people and the amount of people that gonna just vibes with, man, you kind of realize there's 8 billion people, and you're gonna let 1, 2, 3 people gonna piss you off. I'm saying. So I'm trying to just bring this perspective is because sometimes we need to look at perspective, and the reason why I brought this up is because I think it's the same way when I wanted to make content to do is to talk to my large collective about what's the real business of Apple, Starbucks, or Tesla. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think it's just be great to just talk to my large collective and just be able to delve deep in explaining this to you, because when I do talk about what's the real business of Apple, Starbucks, or Tesla, a lot of time people would just be like, oh, you know what, Apple just sells computers and iPhones and iMacs and was it wireless headphones and blah blah blah. Then Starbucks sells cappuccinos and lattes and flat whites, or stop saying like espressos and blah blah blah. Then people tell me, Tesla just sells cars, that probably self-driving cars, autonomous vehicles, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, and then they'd be like, oh yeah, but it's futuristic, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I think that's the surface skin level of business, you know what I'm saying? Because if you look at any type of organizations or companies, right, they have specific things that they do, which is like a trademark, it's like a copyright, it's like a patent with specific companies. But let me just break it down to you and talk to you in depth about this, because my drama coach, man, I just want to be able to get in depth and talk to you about this, because I think it's important, and I think it's important that I talk to you about, this, just to open the conversation of me putting content out on the podcast channel and the business, Brown Boy, business servant channel, right, to talk about business and traditional business and techs and blah blah blah. So look, the skin surface level of a business, like I just want to say this again, right? When you ask people what's a business of Apple, they'd be like selling phones, Macintosh computers, and selling like wireless headphones, and I'll be like, yeah, sure, you know what, that's what they do when you go into a store. That's what they do, physically see happening. I'm saying, what's the real business of Starbucks? Selling coffees, cappuccinos, cakes, lattes, blah blah blah, beverages, and whatever is there. I'm saying, like they do toasties, they do good toasties. I'm saying, and they do tuna melt, the whole lot. I'm saying. Then I asked them, what's the business of Tesla? They'd be like selling cars, like selling electric vehicles, and I'm like, well, that's the skin surface level, right? So let me just talk to my culture, get in depth, and talk to you about what's the real business of Apple, Starbucks, Tesla, and how does a pestle analysis model affect these. Just a brief intro into the pestle analysis model and how this affects the core business from a external to an internal of a business, and how that has a massive impact when it comes to the pestle analysis model. And I'll make another video in the near future to explain in depth, so you know what the pestle analysis model. And in the future we talk about the consumerism model, we talk about the innovation model, and there's a whole bunch of models out that we want to discuss. I'm saying, so let me just break it down to you, right? Just hear me out. So let me just talk to you about each one of these businesses and the real what's the real business of Apple, Starbucks, Tesla, right? So let me just break it down to you. So you got Apple, obviously they sell iPhones and iMacs and Macintosh and what is it, laptops and whatnot, you know what I'm saying? But the real core business of Apple is to create products that are simple to use. I mean, take it back to a time where you look at who remembers my time of culture when there was like you got Motorola, you got BlackBerry and these flip phones, and there was all these buttons there, right? And you have to click on all these buttons, and you had these Blackberries, and you're like, is it BlackBerry? You have to type, and you're like, you go home and you get a sore thumb, you know what I'm saying? Because you're always doing this, I'm saying, like if especially when you're in school, you know what I'm saying? You're like messaging like teachers up there, you're like, oh shit, I'm saying, the teacher's not looking, there's been this message, Shannon, like, especially if you're went to a boys' school, I'm saying, best Shannon, like, let's talk about, blah blah blah, I'm saying, and that's the core thing that these phones had, which was these keypads we had to keep on pressing the buttons, I'm saying, until iPhone popped out. And when Steve Jobs was like the CEO of the main, you know, marketer for the company, right? And he said, you know what, we're gonna do things different. We're gonna just, you know, create a product. Before the phone came out, it was the iPods, right? So when the iPods came out, it was just one button at the bottom, which I'm saying, you click, and there was like, you know, who remembers that? You know, it's like a circle thing, click, and then eventually turned into a phone where it just had one button at the bottom of the phone, right? No, you know, keypads to type on the phone, right? And when that came out, it was alien to a lot of people. They were like, oh crap. So I'm saying, where are all these buttons? We just see a full screen with one button, and it changed the entire, you know, narrative for, you know, how phones were going to be created. And I think all the other companies, Samsung and all these other companies, started incorporating that into their business, right? Because the real core business of Apple is to be innovative, but also to create, you know, products that are futuristic, but also to keep products simple and unique. So that's their USP, their unique selling point is innovative products, futuristic products, but it's something that, you know, I mean, how many of you probably got the first iPhone? Nearly, how many of you like possibly looked at, you know, the first iPhone that came out with that one button? You're like, oh crap! I'm saying, what is this? Like, it's like Ben 10 with the watch. Who knows Ben 10? You know, click on the watch and he start turning into a phantom and he's running around. I'm saying, so that's what I want to talk to you about. So when the iPhone, you know, came up with that one button, it changed the whole, you know, narrative about, you know, how people are gonna use, you know, mobile devices and how it's going to be created. And I think, you know, expanded into other companies who incorporated the same idea, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, Apple created products that was innovative, futuristic, but it's all about keeping things simple, you know what I'm saying? I mean, comparing to a phone that, you know, had all these keypads to a phone that just had one button. Now you got phones that doesn't even have any buttons. It's just everything touchscreen, you know what I'm saying? Imagine if, you know, that was not to be the case. You still have to, like, you know, type up, you know what I'm saying? So Apple's, you know, real business is to keep things futuristic, innovative, but also to, you know, create products that are simple to use, you know, for the common man that's walking out there, you know what I'm saying? I just want to keep this brief because I might make a video another time, right? Let me just talk to you about, you know, what's the real business of, you know, Starbucks? The real business of Starbucks, a lot of people might think it's to do with selling beverages, coffees, you know, I don't know, frappuccino, blah blah blah, I'm saying. But the real business of Starbucks is hospitality, do you know what I'm saying? I mean, look, listen, how many of you, especially like, you know, my trauma culture, you know, some of you might be like university students, right? Or you might actually go to a, you know, educational institution. You might be actually out there, you know, with your pals and with your, you know, girlfriends or, you know, your partner, whoever, do you know what I'm saying? And you're literally like thinking, you know what, man, I'm got all this work to do. I don't want to sit in a uni campus today. I want to just, you know, pull up and go into, you know, Starbucks and get myself a frappuccino or a cappuccino or latte or espresso or whatever you want, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know what you want, you know what I'm saying, you know? So now you're out there, you know, got yourself a beverage, and now you're sitting, you know, on a table with your, you know, your friends or your, you know, uni pals or, you know, whoever, you know I'm saying, or you just go up there just because you want to have a good time. You just sit there for, you know, an hour or two, just, you know, having a, you know, beverage from Starbucks and just spending time, right? Because Starbucks' real cool business, because how they marketed it was to allow a space for people to come up and, you know, sit and enjoy their time while they had a beverage or something from what service they provided, you know what I'm saying? Everyone, you know, possibly if you've been students or whatnot, right, we all been in a situation where we went to Starbucks and even any, you know, cafes, but we're talking about Starbucks, right? You just go in and you just, like, especially if you're a student or you go to uni or college, or you got an exam or you're trying to do some revision together, you go to Starbucks, you sit down, especially if it's a big store, you just got a table, you get your, you know, you get your, you know, tablets out, you get your laptops out, you get your books out, you're sitting there like, you know, as a group, studying, and you be there for like about what, like a couple hours, grab yourself another a beverage, and you're there for some time. Do you know what I'm saying? So the real business of Starbucks is hospitality. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's a place. Because Starbucks, what they did was they create an environment for people to come into the service value that they provide, which is cappuccinos, frappuccinos, and lattes, and blah blah blah, right? But it's a safe space for people to come up and just enjoy the time while they out there with real life events taking place, exams, and business assignments, probably business meeting might be conducted in a Starbucks, where people meet up, do you know what I'm saying? So hospitality is the real core business of Starbucks, right? Let's talk about, Tesla. So Tesla, when people tell me, what Tesla, man, they do, self-driving vehicles, or they do electric vehicles, that's their business, just selling cars. Selling cars is the business, you know what I'm saying? That's the surface level of a business, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about culture, right? Let me ask you, what do you think is the, you can pause this video here. I'm gonna ask you a question. So now you got an idea of, real business of Apple is to keep things simple, innovative, and also to create products that are out of this world. You know what I'm saying? That's Apple's motto. You know what I'm saying? What's the real business of Starbucks? It's all about hospitality. You know what I'm saying? So to create an environment for people to come and have a good time, especially if it's revision season, exam, or business assignments, whatever, or just to spend some time where it's a safe space to a safe hub to actually spend some time, right? So I'll ask you now, what is the real business of Tesla? You can pause the video because I'm going to take a little break. You know what I'm saying? I'll be talking for some time now. You know what I'm saying? So hey, just pause this video and just think, what's the real business of Tesla? You know what I'm saying? So hey, so let's talk about what's the real business of Tesla. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of time people would just be like, we're selling vehicles, electric vehicles, right? That's right. I mean, that's the skin surface level of what Tesla is. Let me just break it down to you, right? So what's the real business of Tesla? If you got some ideas, just like write it down, on the comments below, right? So the real business of Tesla is to actually be innovative about the driving experience, because Tesla's obviously selling electric vehicles, right, which is sustainable. It's has a healthy impact for the environment, because it's focused on sustainability over a long period of time, to move away from using petrol, diesel, fossil fuels, and it's a company that's focused on is very climate change conscious, about creating products that's going to be sustainable for the long term, for not just now but the future generations. You know what I'm saying? But the real business of Tesla is to really change the driving experience, just as the same as Uber. When Uber came into the scene, is to change to change the taxi, or change the experience of commuting people from one location to another location, right? And it's just an app. You just got to press, this. You're pressing the buttons, and all of a sudden you've got cars popping up, parked up down there. You're on your way. Do you know what I'm saying? You don't have to call no one. You don't have to do nothing. You just, press the button. I'm here. Pick me up here, and it changes the entire, experience of, commuting, especially if you're, at a restaurant, or if you're coming from a club. You know what I'm saying? So the real business of Tesla is to change the driving experience. I mean, look, listen, it's great because we're in a era of AI, artificial intelligence, robotics. I mean, AI has been here for, people might say, oh, AI is just new, bro, like it's been here for just for a few years. No, AI has been here for a very long time, especially if you know about Palo Alto, Silicon Valley, if you know about the tech space, the tech giants, the tech industry in near San Francisco, near around those regions of parts of America, do you know what I'm saying? US, United States of America, right? Or around other parts of the world. Now, when I say autonomous vehicles are great, you know what I'm saying? I mean, autonomous vehicle, I had a great opportunity of, popping up to London and speaking to a female who was like, I think she was working with key important people within the UK to regulate how they're going to bring autonomous vehicles into the market in the UK that can be self-driving. So autonomous vehicles have a great impact, you know what I'm saying, because it just changes how the experience of driving is going to be undertaken. So I'm saying, I mean, look, listen, if you drive your vehicle and you're like, right, stuck in traffic and you're like, driving around, you're like, got your things to do, like, you got family there, do you know what I'm saying? And it's really difficult because you got to take, control of the wheel and you have to do this, and which is impossible, do you know what I'm saying? So, Tesla have, started off with electric vehicles, but they have focused on the innovative process of, changing the ultimate driving experience for just, the population, to say. I mean, look, listen, now you got, Tesla out there, or cars out there, right? Especially Tesla, right? When you sit in a car, you don't even touch the wheel. There's no wheel. It's just like you sit in a car and you just like sit there and it just drives by itself, brakes by itself, and they got all these sensors and motion detectors and whatnot, right? To help itself, to get to the location that you need to get to without even putting any effort into driving behind the wheel. Do you know what I'm saying? So that changes the entire driving process and also the experiences of just the driving itself. You know what I'm saying? So look, listen, Tesla is a company that just few other car companies have focused on that, right? But real core business of Tesla is to actually question the driving experience and to create products when it comes to the vehicle industry, to create products that's going to shock a lot of people. I mean, you've got vehicles out there you can just jump into right now, right? Tesla's working on a few other projects as well, which are going to create a shock to a lot of people of how it's going to change the entire driving experience, right? Now you got cars, autonomous vehicle, you just jump in a car and you sit down, it just takes you places. And the technology that they use, right, the artificial intelligence, or the technology that they use, right, the motion detectors, right, is amazing. I mean, it could just bait itself, move away from accidents. If there's a car collision, it will just stop automatically, you know what I'm saying? And it's just amazing what these products are doing, you know what I'm saying? So look, we just looked at the core, real business of all these companies. So the first one is Apple. The real business of Apple is to keep things simple, stupid. I'm saying to keep things simple, innovative, to create products that has a USP, and also create futuristic products that was once a question mark. I'm saying, I mean, 50 years ago, if you go back and look at products and say, you know what, we're going to create a phone with no keypads or whatnot, right? It's a question mark. I'm saying people be like, nah, meet up for educational purposes, whatnot. I'm saying the same way Tesla is there to create sustainable products, electric vehicles, autonomous vehicles, but also to question how they're going to create sustainability in the long-term perspective, but also with that, to question how they're going to change the entire driving experience once they roll out more of these autonomous vehicles that's going to be self-driven, and how that's going to change the entire scope of how we look at driving itself and the driving experience that one individual might see. You know what I'm saying? So that's the entire business. Emma Drama Culture, man, let me just quickly break into what I wanted to talk about, which is the Pestle analysis model. I'm gonna keep this brief and simple. So the Pestle analysis model is a model that's in business that looks at the external and the internal of a business, right? So obviously, if every business has the external factors and the internal factors that does affect a business. So let me just give you an example. So right now we've got all this conflict that's going on in the Middle East, right? We've got this conflict that's going on in the Middle East, you know what I'm saying, with Israel and Iran, and now you got United States of America, and also you got UK now stepping in to see what's going on. So there's a big conflict, a regional conflict that's going on, where great nations such as United States of America have to step in and try to mediate this thing that's going on, which I think everyone's I can see the tension on people's faces, you know what I'm saying? So look, because that's going on, if you person that's say if you're a CEO of a airline company, like, you know, you actually got an airline such as British Airways, or you got, you know, United Airlines, or you got, you know, Qatar Airways, right? Now you have to question, how are you going to, you know, now travel through the sky, especially if there's going to be you know, air conflicts, missiles, and, you know, whatever's going on. I'm saying you can't go through those areas because of safety. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to affect the internal of a business, but also at the external of a business, because this is politically motivated. That, you know, could affect, you know, not just the business itself, but also if, you know, these companies decided to travel in these airspace when they are trying to take their passengers to their designated location, right? Which is going to create safety hazards. You know what I'm saying? So that's to look at, you know, something called the PESTEL analysis model. Let me just break it down to you what it briefly is, and then I'll make a video in the future to talk about, you know, what that is. So let's talk about the PESTEL analysis model, and let's take an example of, you know, British Airways or American Airlines, right, as a medium, or as an example to work with the PESTEL analysis model. So the PESTEL analysis model actually stands for something. PESTLE, my tribe. PESTLE. Let me just break it down to you. Each one of these letters actually stands for something. I mean, let me just break it down to you what this is. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so P is for political, E is for economical, S is for social, T is for technological, L is for legal, E is for environmental. You know what I'm saying? Or sustainability. Do you know what I'm saying? Or sustainable. Let me just break it down to you one more time. PESTEL analysis model, you know, or you call it PAM. PESTEL analysis model, you call it PAM. You know what I'm saying? So PESTLE. P for political, E for economical, S for social, T for technological, L for legal, E for environmental, which is sustainable or sustainability. You know what I'm saying? So let me just break it down to you. So, you know, when you look at, you know, the internal, external of a business, right? Each one of these, you know, letters actually represent something that needs to be measured when it comes to a business. You know what I'm saying? So let me talk to you about British Airways, or let me talk to you about, you know, American Airlines, right? So look, political. Let's talk about PESTLE. The first one is P for political, right? British Airways or Airlines. It's going to be entirely based upon British Airways or United Airlines, you know, which is to do with US Airlines, right? So political. So let me give an example. So you look at, you know, the conflict that's going on in, you know, the Middle East, which is a regional conflict between Israel and also, you know, Iran. And how is that going to affect British Airways from an internal, external point of view when it comes to political matters, right? And also because of political matter now, where, you know, there's a political breakout, there is unrest in that region, it's going to affect the business, because British Airways or, you know, United Airlines, American Airlines, right, now have to think, how are we going to, you know, transport, or how are we going to, you know, carry our passengers to parts of the world, and we can't use that airspace because of potential safety hazard, and they have to, you know, look into the internal, external of a business when it comes to that. E is for economical. So E is for economical because of this regional conflict that's going on with, you know, in the Middle East now, right? It's going to affect the revenue. It's going to affect because of traveling lengths. The transit of where people need to go to might change. They might have to go elsewhere to get another flight to go off because the airspace is under fire. So I'm saying it's a unrest going on right now in the Middle East. Missiles and, you know, jets and, you know, military, and you know what I'm saying, it's really bad right now. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to affect the economical factors of it. So, you know, British Airways or American Airlines have to now look at, you know, how are they going to solve this issue and how they're going to go forward with it. You know what I'm saying? The next one is social. So social is to do with the social aspects, right? So it's to look at, you know, just, you know, how it's to do with people, drums. I would say it's to do with people, drums. So it's to do with, what's the tension of people because of this conflict right now, and how are they going to convince or, persuade, or how are they going to, tell their passengers that it's going to be an easy flight for them to take if they go in somewhere where they have to do a transit near Middle East, or if they are going towards a country on the other side of the world, how, the British Airways or American Airlines might have to, tell the customers that, we're not going through that region. We have to take a transit elsewhere because, of this regional conflict and this unrest that's going on. So I'm saying, now T is for technological. So British Airlines or American Airlines now have to, not just with this conflict, but they always will question from a external point of view to an internal point of view, right? How are they going to innovate products that's going to help with their customers? So like if you see with British Airways and American Airlines, but British Airways especially, right, they actually are rolling out products that actually I think in certain parts of airports or where they are based, right, which actually I think carries luggage or something. So I'm saying it's all to do with the innovative process of how they want to create solutions for their customers while they experience the company that they're traveling with. So I'm saying L is for legal, so obviously that's to do with the legal matters, with the business itself. So obviously because of example this conflict that's going on in the Middle East, right, they have to look at legal repercussions of what if they do not look at safety hazards because of this unrest that's going on in the Middle East between Iran's animosity and, do you know what I'm saying? And they have to look at the legal aspects. They have to look at the legal aspects of it because that's going to affect their, business from a external point of view to a internal business, the core business, right? Because of, imagine if British Airways or, American Airlines, right? United Airlines, I think, what if they actually start traveling people from, the UK through the airspace of Middle East where there's unrest and there's missiles and all these things going on, so I'm saying, and now a passenger might go through the airspace in Middle East and they see something on the screen where there's something that really gets them to have a panic attack, they have a heart attack, and now this passengers want to sue the company British Airways or American Airlines because they felt unsafe and they had a panic attack which led for them to have a heart attack, I'm saying, and they can sue the company, I'm saying. So they have to look at the legal aspects of it when it comes to that. But also, the legal matters also affects, because if it's politically motivated, especially the unrest, right, which could actually question a legal matter too, or legal could actually also be to do with governmental matters. So it could actually be like government rolling something that's political at the very forefront, which is the P, right, because of the because of this unrest that's going on in the Middle East region, which actually could question the legal aspects of the business itself. I'm saying the last one is, I'm just giving a brief intro, I don't want to get into too much of the detail of this, right. The last one is environmental, you know what I'm saying. So right now, environmental could to do with sustainability. If you just look at from a business of British Airways and American Airlines, they have to just look at how they're going to create airline, how they're going to create planes or sustainable travels in the near future, where they're going to use less fossil fuels, and how they're going to innovate. You know what I'm saying? That could be one part of it, I'm saying. But environmental could be something such as also the region of the Middle East and the unrest that's going on now, which has an impact as well, you know what I'm saying. So there are multiple things that comes into this pestle analysis model, and when you look at it from a book, when you look at it from a construct of a book, it might say, pestle, P for political, E for economical, S for social, T for technological, L for legal, E for environmental, and it would just give a skin surface level. But then, if you delve deep into, because I created my own model with this, right, because I think you have to be a deep thinker when it comes to this model when you're conducting a business itself, you know what I'm saying. So you got to question this, and I think I have to make a video on another video, sit there for like about half an hour, 45 minutes. So ultimately, like, you know, just a brief intro into Pesto analysis model, which stands for one, which is P for, you know, political, E for economical, S for social, T for technological, L for legal, E for environmental, which is to do with sustainability. But then it's in the context of you know, what the circumstances, I'm saying, especially the unrest in the Middle East, or, you know, the Ukraine Russia conflict, and, you know, got to look at a lot of things. I'm saying, I mean, what if the fuel price increases? How is that going to affect the economy of the business? What That's for British Airlines or American Airlines, right? What if you know, let me give you a very good example, right? What if, you know, COP conference, a conference of parties, right, come up and roll up and say, you know what, jet fuel, we're going to increase the price, we can only, like, you know, do X amount of you know, fuel for this much amount of price, and then, you know, they're trying to innovate to phase out, you know, fossil fuels, right? How are they going to conduct their business, and how's that going to affect the external, internal of a business? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of question marks. You know what I'm saying? So this model itself is relative to the context of what question you want to ask about what is actually going on. But the Pesto analysis model is to look at the external, internal of a business, but also to question how circumstances could affect each one of this letter, P-E-S-T-L-E, which is P for political, E for P for political, E for economical, S for social, T for technological, L for legal, E for environmental, which is sustainability, you know what I'm saying? But then it's in the context of what the circumstances, I'm saying. So, hey, look, listen, my trauma culture, man, I'm just gonna get going on. I've been talking for a long time, I'm saying. You know, I think I want to make a video to talk about this in depth, but this is just a brief intro into the conversation that I want to share with my trauma culture, man. Look, listen, it's just important that, you know, I share this because I want to, you know, start a new you know, platform, which is Brown Boy Business 7, just to talk about business, just talk about, you know, traditional business, you know, digitized business, talk about artificial intelligence, talk about robotics, talk about, you know, how, you know, traditional businesses are incorporating AI into their business, you know what I'm saying? And I, you know, being a internet marketer, network marketer, being a online marketer, being a public speaker, you know what I'm saying? I'm very educated with, you know, understanding business from a innovative point of view. And I'm, you know, just as a, you know, just looking at how, you know, business have changed over the years. I mean, look, listen, go into Farringdon right now. If you go into Farringdon right now, you walk up, you know, down, I think it's Tesco or Sainsbury's, I think it's Tesco. You walk in Tesco, there's no employees there. It's just you download an app, you scan your phone, you walk in, you pick up some products, and you leave the store. There's motion detectors, there's radars, there's all these cameras and whatnot, and you go scan the phone at the end, and, you know, you're walking out of Farringdon Tesco, right, and you scan the phone at the end, and it automatically deducts everything that you picked up from Tesco itself. And there's no employees, you know what I'm saying? There's no tills, there's no cashiers, there's no, you know, you push your product down a conveyor belt. None of that. You just pick up your product and you leave, and automatically detects what you have taken because of radars, motion detectors, and whatnot. And it changes the whole scope of how, you know, shopping is done. And that's what's coming into, you know, the future vision of most of these supermarkets. So imagine walking into one of your local supermarkets in the near future with a big trolley. You get all your, you know, weekly needs for you and your family and your children, and then you're walking out and there's no employees, and it automatically deducts exactly what you've taken because of motion detectors, because of radars, because of these cameras and sensors and whatnot, right? That's the world that we're moving into, I'm saying. It's going to create a lot of loss of jobs, but then again, it's the AI world, I'm saying. It's the futuristic world, I'm saying. So let me just tell you something, man. My trauma culture, man, this is just a quick video. I definitely have to make a video on the Pesto analysis model, just talk about the internal, external of the business. But I just wanted to share this because I just want to put this out on the space, just to invite you. This whole business channel, which is Brown Boy Business 7, right? It's just the start. It should be great to get people on there. You know, it's going to be on the podcast, but also on the business channel, and just to create, you know, weekly content, just to talk about what's going out there in the world, you know what I'm saying? So, hey, my goal, but yeah, if you know, watch this video, just watch it one more time, just to understand what's, you know, maybe just, you know, fell asleep, you know what I'm saying, you know, you know. So, hey, let me just get going, and yeah, so hey, I'm gonna just sit out here and get some things done and then go from there. So, hey, peace, love, happiness, stay positive, you know what I'm saying? And the Browns brand, we're here to stay, you know what I'm saying? And whoop! Enjoy your day and have a good one. That's what I'm saying, hey.